We're exactly 2 months away from the NFL on CBS being back on your TVs, and it all goes down Sunday, September 7th. We'll have 6 games for that opening slate, 2 being in the late 4:25 p.m. Eastern window. And let's run through a few notables of our collection. Steelers at Jets. Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields switching teams in the offseason after the Rodgers experiment failed at MetLife. Jets cutting ties with the future Hall of Famer and signing Fields to a 2-year deal. Next up, Texans and Rams. Houston won the NFC South for the 2nd straight year. C.J. Stroud leading the way. And L.A. brought back Super Bowl winning quarterback Matthew Stafford on a deal that'll pay him $44 million this season. And the best of our bunch very well could be Lions and Packers to open up the year. Detroit earning that 1 seed in the conference's only bye last season. However, decimated by injuries and fell to the Commanders in the playoffs. Green Bay was one of 3 NFC North teams to make the postseason, and all of them suffering early exits. CBS Sports entering its 66th year of coverage of the NFL, and it is going to be interesting not only to see what these guys have to say, of course, on a weekly basis, but the weekly fixture that is Charles Davis. He will be, of course, calling the games for us here on CBS, and let's bring in CD to talk about the NFL on CBS Week 1. Boy, I just listened to that music. I'm talking to you. I'm starting to get the feels, Charles, and starting to feel pretty good. Let's start in the NFC North. I know you can't win the division Week 1, but boy, a blockbuster matchup there with the Lions and Packers.
And Tommy, it's always great to spend time with you. And the way that you started, you know, you can't win it, but it almost feels like this time of year when golf is predominant, that's what they always talk about on the weekend, right? You can't win the tournament Thursday, Friday, but you can shoot yourself out of it. Can that happen early with Detroit and Green Bay? Meaning, yes, it's just 1 game, but will that 1 game be the decider when it's all said and done because of how tight that division was? Remember last year, Detroit won 14 games. Minnesota won 14 games. Minnesota ended up a 5 seed because of how the playoffs are structured. But Green Bay also made the playoffs out of that division last year. So they feel like they're the team that's not talked about a bunch. They feel like they've made some improvement with Jeff Hafley as their defensive coordinator since beginning last year, and they continue to do that. They feel like they've made a lot of improvement with their offensive line. Elton Jenkins, I think, can be an all-pro anywhere he plays. They're going to move him inside to center. You know, I think this is a good thing for them. And then offensively with the receivers, bringing back Jaden Reed and, of course, Christian Wilkins. But then going out and drafting Matthew Golden, Savion Williams. They got Aaron Banks to play guard from San Francisco. And this could be the big jump year for Jordan Love at quarterback. They're not talking about the Packers as much, but they feel like maybe they can figure into this thing. And last year, Tommy, our first game of the year was New England at Cincinnati. Major upset. New England beat them. And when the season was over, Cincinnati missed the playoffs by 1 game, that game. So could this game be the one that determines who gets what? We'll find out. But what a way to start.
Oh, what a way to start. We'll see what Detroit looks like on the sidelines. 2 of their coordinators no longer there, of course, with Dan Campbell. One of them, Aaron Glenn, with the Jets. Jets hosting Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers here. And Charles, a lot of people are going to have an opinion of how this game should be viewed, what's important in this game. But for you, what piques your interest? What interests you most about this juicy matchup?
For me, I know that obviously the Aaron Rodgers storyline is going to overarch everything. But remember, this is the 2nd team now that he's on since Green Bay. So I don't know if there's as much fury about him not being with the Jets and all, because it really kind of it was much more of a thud than it was anything else, wasn't it, Tommy? A lot of sound and fury, and it signified almost nothing. 4 plays year 1. Last year, they don't make the playoffs. They play better the second half of the year, but that thing just fizzled. It did not come close to what we expected it to be, because we thought last year was the year if anyone was going to chase down Buffalo. Here's your chance for the Jets. Here's your chance for Miami. Neither one of them did it. So to me, this division is now Buffalo and Chase. We're right back to that again. So who can go ahead and make that type of a move? Will the Jets fans have some fury for Rodgers? Of course they will. I don't think it's going to bother him much at all. To me, the storyline's much more. Aaron Glenn is the new head coach of the Jets. Justin Fields is their new quarterback. Will he be the one to galvanize that talent that they had there and get them going in the direction they expected to go with Robert Saleh as their head coach.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And by the way, sometimes we overuse the term like revenge game, and I don't think it'll be that type of game for Aaron Rodgers against the Jets. You brought up Buffalo. They've been the class of the AFC East over the last handful of years. It's interesting, though. I've literally hosted dozens of segments with our NFL analysts. There seems to be a consensus thought that within the division, the Dolphins are down and the Patriots are primed to rise up. Charles, what are you thinking with that? Are you in agreement with that sort of thought process here?
I am in agreement with it, Tommy, but I have a little caveat to it, and I've got the brakes pumped just a little bit, and here's why. Let's start with New England. I love everything that they've done, starting with bringing in Mike Vrabel as their head coach. I think they did an exceptional job in free agency and bringing in Milton Williams and Harold Landry on the defensive side of the ball and Robert Spillane at linebacker, right? Bringing in Stephon Diggs on the offensive side, Morgan Moses, you know, as an offensive lineman for them. Exactly what they needed, right? They needed to refigure the offensive line. Plus, they drafted Will Campbell to play left tackle for them. And Garrett Bradbury to play center. I love every one of those moves, right? I like everything that they're doing. They feel like a team on the rise. I realize that with Miami and, you know, now trading Jalen Ramsey, it feels like the decline has already started to happen. But I go back and look under Mike McDaniel. They've started 3-1 his first year. They started 3-1 his second year. Both were playoff years. Last year, they started 1-3. But with this offense and the way that they go about doing things and as fast-paced as they can be, they can give you a lot of problems early in the season. So I wouldn't write them off in their opener against Indianapolis, who's trying to figure out a quarterback. But overall, do I like what New England has done better? Yeah, I think New England's in prime position to be the #2 team now behind Buffalo. But I'm not ready to kick Miami totally to the curb, and there's one last reason. Anthony Weaver, their defense coordinator, did an exceptional job last year, and we never even really talked about it. That defense played really well, excellent rankings. They come ready to play. Yeah, losing Jalen Ramsey doesn't help you, but Anthony Weaver does a really nice job as a coordinator. He'll have them ready to go, so it's going to be fun to watch. And I'll leave you with this, Tommy. The Las Vegas Raiders are going to New England, and they've got brand new as well with Pete Carroll coming in. So a lot of intrigue that first week of the season with these teams we're talking about.
No doubt. That's why we're itching to get football back. And again, just 2 months away from that. Let's go out west and see if you're in agreement with one of our analysts, Lige Douzable. Dooz likes the Cardinals to win the NFC West. So not the Niners and not the Rams, of course, who really threatened the champs perhaps better than anybody last year. So what are you thinking about Dooz's selection of this Cardinals team being so bullish, Charles?
Tommy, you've sat next to the Dooz many times, right? So yes. Every time you hear someone do like a fake snap count or something, you get nervous, don't you? Because he's going to come off the ball and someone's going to get hit. I don't want to be that person. So I am understanding what he is saying, and he has, I think, very good reasons why. To me, this Cardinals staff, led by Jonathan Gannon, is a staff on the rise. There's an ascension there. I don't know how many people realize this. That team last year started 2-4, but they went into the open week at 6-4 and in first place in their division before losing 3, and then they were out of it. So they're in position now. People have to make a leap. Paris Johnson at left tackle, Marvin Harrison Jr. at wide receiver. Kyler Murray has continued to become a better quarterback for them. But they gum the things up. Nick Rollis' defense, they make it hard on you. I still think the Rams are the class of the division. Don't tell dudes, please. I don't want them coming for me. I still think the Rams are the team because I like the Rams' defensive front versus the offensive line of the Cardinals right now. But I understand where he's coming from because I really like what they're doing in Arizona. But I do believe this is kind of, I'm not going to say make or break year, but it's a year they have to make that big move.
You mentioned the Rams. They've got the Texans week 1 at SoFi Stadium. They brought back Matthew Stafford. Puka Nacua now being paired with Devontae Adams. No more Cooper Kupp. Interestingly enough, on paper coming into this game, you've got C.J. Stroud, you've got Matthew Stafford, you've got the offenses. Is that where your eye is, Charles, or is it on the other side of the ball, which features some very young, up-and-coming players in the league?
Yeah, for the Rams, it's on the defensive side of the ball for me. Braden Fisk, what he did last year as a rookie, to go along with Byron Young, who was there and did a great job. Jared Verse, another terrific rookie for them up front. They brought in Poona Ford. You know, Kobe Turner's been a stalwart for them. That defensive front is going to cause you a lot of problems. And this Rams team has done a nice job under Chris Shula, continuing to adapt and get better and play to the strengths of their team. The flip side is I really think this Texans team has solidified their defense when they have everyone healthy. If they get Jalen Petrie back playing full-time again. Remember, Matt Burke's the defensive coordinator. Of course, their head coach is going to call the defensive plays, D'Amico Ryans. So they are in a great tandem and understanding what you want. I love Derek Stingley Jr. out on the corner. Remember, people kind of passed him over for Sauce Gardner. Now you see why the Texans took him one spot ahead of Sauce Gardner. He's an all-pro corner. But it's their offense that's going to tell the tale for them. Remember, they changed offensive coordinators. Nick Cowley's now the offense coordinator. And where did he come from? Oh, that's right, the Rams, the Sean McVay tree. So this would be interesting to see how they do things over there. But they've redone their offensive line, right? They brought in Nick Chubb to back up Joe Mixon at the running back position. They brought in a bunch of wide receivers now. Christian Kirk, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel coming from Iowa State. So they have to high power themselves a little bit more on the offensive side. They feel good about defense. And by the way, we will hear from Chauncey Gardner-Johnson because he is very loud with his pads and, of course, with his talk. So we'll see how it goes. But to me, it's the Rams defense and the Texans offense that kind of tell the tale in week one.
Love it. Mid-season form breakdown from Charles Davis here in the summer. CD, great stuff as always. Be well. Thanks for hopping on HQ to talk some knowledge. A reminder about CBS Sports HQ. We've got news, highlights, scores, and some terrific interviews like the one you just saw there. It's all here, and it's all free.